I have this book, Methods of Persuasion, that I was gonna that I bought years ago, and I still haven't read it. So
Methods of persuasion.
yeah,
Oh, we'll finish going along this color book, and then I don't know. I like this. I like having a. It will depend. We'll see your schedule, your new schedule.
yeah.
But I like this coming on here, recording things, talking about whatever comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Colors.
Colors.
I like colors. I like
Colors.
colors.
Well, we need to get to the book again, though. We've been kind of slacking on that.
I feel like we've been procrastinating on that kind of subconsciously, intentionally, like half intentionally,
Yeah.
because the second half is so boring and there's no guarantee that there's going to be an immediate payoff. So I feel like what we need to do while we both have this time is kind of skim some of the future chapters,
Yeah.
like kind of skim headings, look at some of the images with the subheadings, and kind of get a good feel for whether or not we think the going deeper is really going to give us enough bang for the buck.
Yeah.
Because what this is doing right now, and you've pointed this out in our last discussion on this, is what this is doing right now for us is that this is giving us an excellent platform to launch off into spontaneous discussions about different aspects rather than us pulling out. It's more that the book serves as a platform for us to talk about our own thing rather than us to actually talk necessarily about the observations with
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem to be getting deeper than what we've kind of
which
already talked about. So
which is good. I feel like there's enough topics in here that if we keep doing this across the whole thing, that it will be more or less comprehensive in terms of, like, we'll talk about fashion, we'll
mm-hmm.
talk about art, we'll talk about history.
Yeah.
This guy is interdisciplinary. I think he is level 7.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll get lots of coverage. It's just making sure we do it in a way that actually intrigues us enough to
Yeah.
get through it.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Maybe for like the last 45 minutes, just so that we can feel like we're making some progress. I do have some notes on it. So maybe I can at least at least share what I have of it if you're okay with that. Just kind
Let's
of
do
do
it.
a cram session through it.
Take note of what time in the recording it is, because maybe we'll make this separate or not. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's also been so long I don't remember what all my notes were about. So I usually
Same,
okay.
but that's okay.
Yeah, I'll just focus on
I left off on the subheading Science, the Taste of All Minds.
okay. All right. So basically, for the science, the taste of all minds, I don't have too many notes on it. I wrote a note next to the heading that says it has different theories of colors. Um, kind of basically just like you have Newton's theory of color, where it was more, I guess, in short, pragmatic, where it was basically just all about physics. Um, you have Philip Alderunge's theory of color, who tried to do more of an integrated theory. Um, and then you have one guy who tried to focus more into the history of color, trying to blend science and art together. Uh, that's what that's what started happening in the 1800s, and that's basically all that I got for page 47. Uh, Turning to page 48 is kind of more of the same. I did make an underlined note here, with this scheme of in 110, where they made a complementary list where red, blue are opposites, green, orange, cyan, yellow, indigo, and yellow green. Uh, of the colors of light, I guess. So that was when they're starting to put into like and I think that's why I put the history of colors notes. That's when they started to codify how the color system right there. Um, let's see, 20th century theory. Yeah, I yeah. Between nature and phenomena, color beauty of meaning. I'll just skip to 51. On the top line, on the top paragraph here before the heading, I underlined, and yet textiles are perhaps the colored artifacts most expressive of social values and through these values of ideas. And I guess I just wanted to make a note real quick of that we discussed that there's a global interpretation of how symbols work and then a personal interpretation of how symbols work, and enough data of personal interpretations can give global interpretations. So that's kind of how you find those global definitions. Basically, that's how cultures are in a nutshell. Basically, it's just the aggregation of symbols forming in a cohesion together. So
Becoming super aggregores, and that's how you end up with silver and gold having the kind of almost global connotation. Pink is a new one, right?
yeah.
Pink now it's like it started. It's like the associations got stronger and stronger in one culture, but then that culture got a lot of influence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like until other people kind of looked and like, oh, that actually kind of makes sense. There's something about this symbol connected, and then it kind of like spread like a. And now it's like you got silver, you got gold, you got pink, red and black, right? Certain combinations that have more or less locked into like a global, symbolic, consistent
Yeah.
interpretation.
Yep. Yep. All right. Yeah. That. Let's see. What else did I get? I made a note here. Historians of art have so far used costume almost exclusively as an aid to dating. Composition as if for entirely an aesthetic matter. So I think there he's making a note of how you can use what people wear as a measure of, uh, I guess, what colors, like the colors of what people wear can be used as a measure. Um, and they talk about they make mention how some fabrics, like they made a special fabric that could change colors depending on their vantage point. Oh, and I think I looked it up too. It was like a specific kind of silk. Uh, but when the head's maintained throughout a particular form. Let's see. Yeah, let me see. Oh man, like I'm reading this, I'm looking at my notes, and I didn't get anything. Theories of harmony on page 55. I have a couple notes, I guess. Work has done little either to substantiate. Oh, so I guess this is going back into this is the first paragraph is kind of summing up what the first section that we talked about on page 75. And the goal of what they've been trying to do for a while has been trying to harmonize a universal system of color and color theory. You know, light, shade, hue, what it means, what it feels like. And it's basically saying in a nutshell that they haven't found a system yet. It's still a work in progress. Uh,
And which subheading was that? Where you made that note?
that was in Theories of Harmony. It's on page
Okay, I see it.
55. Yeah.
Yep, there is. Yep.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned some of those. They mentioned towards the bottom some of the famous. There's Kandinsky, the purple guy. He's the guy who painted lots of purple stuff.
Yeah.
The way different artists use different colors.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they noticed the link between color interest and musical. People can't get away. They can't get away from something going on with music and something going on with colors. They
Yeah.
keep coming. They keep coming back around, but they can't. They can't pull.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like it should connect, and it's so close, but it's that like the global interpretation feels like it should be the same, but the personal interpretation instantly dissolves. So it's hard to make any mapping on it. So, but I guess the way that I look at it, it's in different layers. You know, in the 10 layers, right? So music would reside more in the subliminal, like colors are in the abstract, right? The abstract layer. Music is in the subliminal and the emotional layers through that. So because colors are deeper, it's going to have a higher likelihood of being more global. But music, because that's more subliminal, uh, it's more able to be manipulated by your surroundings. So, which is why I made that 10 layers video.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I had to make that.
You mentioned at the outset or in a previous discussion, just in terms of comparison, like colors were maybe like somewhere 2 or 3 in terms of depth, right? And then sound and music was perhaps something around like layer near the middle layers, right? So
Yeah.
sound is somewhere in the middle in terms of the way it influences our minds or bodies,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it kind of more malleable, right? And then color is a little further,
Yeah.
for a little more primordial, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that would correspond to my understanding, at least, of evolutionary psychology, to the extent that I guess most organisms develop a capacity for navigating light before they do sound.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And now I'm putting colors in the abstract layer with from how we understand it, right? Like, but there is a possibility that it can go. It is in the atomic layer, right? Because technically, theoretic, like light existed before biology, right? And those different light waves would affect us theoretically. So that means that theoretically, how we interpret the colors would be just a way from like we interpret the colors because the universe affects us that way, not necessarily because of the biology of how it made that.
because of a reason,
Yeah,
like run out of whys after you
yeah,
only ask the question why 7 times, then you're out of answers, and at some point you're like, just cause, like that's the universe, that's the way the universe,
yeah,
God, right?
yeah,
For all intents and purposes, God did it, right?
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. It could. I mean, technically, I guess what you're saying is light is energy. We're all energy. It's just
yeah,
energy from a
yes.
scientific perspective. And so,
From
yeah,
yeah, from a scientific perspective. So I'm just trying to go. I just put it in the abstract just because that's as deep as I can gauge it, basically. But it is possible that it's very deep. But how can we gauge? How can we go that far, right? So
die and become schizo. Go back to the
right.
source.
uh, so on 56 we have representing color, and here he's just kind of talking about how color usage was used differently in different periods of time. Uh, so like on page 57, you have it on your book, but for Avery, they have this book, this painting, and he mentions how blue, like there was a shift from using, like blue was used in religious contexts for a little while, instead of what they had before. He didn't mention what it was before, I don't think. Uh, Yeah, okay, it says in the early Middle Ages, blue was seen as akin to darkness. It is even associated with the dark angel of evil in a 6th century mosaic panel. But later, blue became the color of light. In the 11th century book cover of Arabet, the cross and mandorla are colored in two shades of blue. And in an inscription, Christ is characterized as Lush Mundi. So,
Light of the world.
light of the world.
Yep.
But I guess I'm
That
trying to analyze the photo. What were you about to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say that this image also stuck out to me, and it also reminded me a little bit, even though it was more physical, the aspect, the whole white and gold, black and blue dress
Mm-hmm.
scenario. Like you almost have that. It's like that, even though that was visual, you almost have a symbolic. You have okay. You have a symbolic cross wiring of those two meanings, whereas more recently we had a biological. But what happened was is in this image, it's like blue seen from a certain perspective is seen closer to the black, right? It's
Yeah.
darker, blacker, something. But then for whatever cultural or visual perspective or personality, culture, whatever reasons, like somebody looked at it instead of juxtaposing blue against, I guess, say white, they juxtaposed the blue against the black, right? It's like
Yeah.
from a perspective of the black, the blue lighter. There's
Yeah.
something about this blue light that's maybe it's like the sky, maybe it's like this. Maybe somebody was like, oh, it's like the sky of the daytime rather than the sky of the nighttime. Sky of the daytime is blue, sky of the nighttime is black. Therefore, blue sky, light, black sky, dark. Or so I don't know. I don't know how they made that connection,
Yeah. Yeah.
but somehow there's they got the full range of the architect.
Yeah. I think my thinking is that if it transitioned, like from what you said, if it transitioned from being like a devilish color to a holy color, my suspicion is that because Christ is the centerpiece, Christ is the light, right? And so if he's the light in the darkness, then I guess that those deep emotions aren't something to be afraid of, right? There's something that you should hold on to. So, but I'm not gonna lie, these middle age paintings and constructs and stuff, like they're so esoteric, like not esoteric, but they're so different that it's hard for me to like pin down like the specifics of what's going on. So
Do get is gems, gemstones, gold. The Christ himself is gold, right?
yeah,
And then it's literally like a depiction of worship, but the people worshiping are in blue,
yeah,
which was a hard color to get back then. And maybe
I think
maybe part maybe part I guess to expand a little bit on your observations, that is perhaps in part what happened was this blue was affiliated with so many of these kind of images that had so much gold, that had so much
mm-hmm.
this, that in addition to those intuitions that you denoted, it was like it was like people automatically looked at the image, and the artist in his personal mind may have had the opinion, oh, blue is to be contrasted with say the lighter gold or whatever, being more negative. So
yeah,
many people in the churches, wherever, who access the image were like, we always see this with so much gold. We always see it with Christ, right?
yeah,
Christ is the light of the world. Therefore, this blue must be, some of that, those associations rubbed off on the color and their
yeah.
understanding of the color as well.
Hmm. That's possible too, because of its difficulty. Kind of like what purple. Purple is difficult to make, so it's got
Yep.
like an association to royalty from that. Um, but if I'm going on a hunch, I think I might have picked up maybe what it's going for, and I think it might be going for a. It's they're trying to show reverence and wisdom, but not like the spiritual kind of wisdom. It's more like the follow me without thinking, and you'll be right kind of wisdom, right? So because it's just some of the way that the people are praying, the way that they're revering, uh, it's kind of a just like kind of a follow blindly kind of thing. Um, and I don't think that there is a connection of like I think the idea of spirituality was different back then too as well. Because I think today spirituality is very much emotion coded. You want to feel it. You want to, and if you feel it, then you know it's true. That's the core of all spirituality today. Uh, I think back then though, I don't think spirituality was as much of a thing. It was more just kind of the system of the day, right? Like capitalism or a
I need some
monarchy.
water, man. This is crazy. I haven't drank water in 2.5 hours.
Oh,
Dude,
Sorry.
you need to be hydrated. Hydrate yourself.
Beer bag.
okay.
Hydrate yourself, lad. That's why I got these right here.
Yeah.
I see what you're latching. I see what you're latching onto.
yeah.
You're latching on to the point of blue that is used for like public servants, like police officers. That's kind of associated with the loyalty,
Yeah.
sacrifice, true blue,
Yeah.
um, like that kind of like public servant, straight laced, conscientious, willing to serve. Level is like that's going to spiral dynamics,
Yeah.
stage blue, right? That kind of here, yes sir. Like what's my duty? Like who do I
Yeah.
serve? Like who's my commander? Then
Yeah.
as like the passive, submissive, subservient
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
aspect of blue.
Yeah. But it's weird because like you'll have that dynamic of loyalty in the blue, but because it's coded around Jesus Christ, that loyalty turns into a type wisdom. So like the core word I'm getting is wisdom, but not like the spirituality. It's just the loyalty aspect of it. So,
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes into the Father but through me.
but
Like
through me, yeah, whack, whack.
that kind of wisdom. It's
so
like it's like the wisdom of tradition, the wisdom of what's
yes,
been passed down from the ancestors, like the wisdom. Like we know the way, we know the path. Let's discipline ourselves and just do what we know we got to do.
yeah, yeah. Now that's the vibe I'm getting, but the question is my vibe accurate, right? And I'll never be able to know. It's all assumption. So
Well, but this goes back though. This goes back to the heading we started with science, the taste of all minds, right?
mm-hmm.
This goes back to an observation we've made on this before, which is that even though it's impossible for us to have an unbiased, even though it's impossible for us humans to have an unbiased perspective, it is possible for us to have something like an unbiased methodology. And the way we get an unbiased methodology is by getting a greater expansion of perspectives, a greater taste for all minds. So this
Yeah,
is why I like this author, this John Gage guy, because that's a very interesting way of phrasing it. It's like science, the taste of all minds, right? So even though we can't do that, what we can't do is that we can look at all these different, like we just did, we just considered like 4 or 5 different perspectives,
mm-hmm.
and then we went with the one that resonated best with our intuitions surrounding previous perspectives and other people's opinions of and other people's associations with the
Yeah,
colors, and there's like and then we made a narrative that did the most amount of work with the least amount of fluff that we currently are capable of. And we're like, good enough, right? Like, what else can we do, right?
right.
Like, so because when we give a perspective, like it's like science is the taste of all minds, but each mind has a distinctive taste, right? And
yeah,
so it's like we're not going to be able to give a comprehensive but we can come close by doing exactly walking in circles, considering our biases,
Mm-hmm.
and then like this is the best we got for now. Refine it later. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Interesting.
So wait, hold on, guys.
yeah.
So if your primary like decision making system is feelings, does that mean you can like be the same person your entire life?
Yeah.
Because when your primary decision making system is like, thoughts and like thinking and like logic, you kind of change like moment to moment almost.
Yes. Yes. You do, which is why it's so catastrophic. Which is why it was so catastrophic for me every time I had to switch like grand paradigms and frameworks and philosophies, because subconsciously I felt like I was becoming someone else, right? Kind of like miniature ego deaths, so to speak. I'm like, well, who am I now, right? Like, now it's like I am what I. It's like I am what I think. It's like go get like Rene Descartes. I think he's ITP. Cogito ergo sum. But we won't go too far down that, because then that'll take us off our current topic of coloring. But yeah, I feel like again, it's a ship of Theseus thing. I feel like a TI user, or a thinker type in general, is more likely to associate their identity with their goals, framework, models, and think of themselves as being quote unquote different people. Whereas I feel like an FI user might relate perhaps somewhat differently to that terminology. I would say. What do you think, Observer?
Yeah. Well, FI prioritizes authenticity, so FI doesn't like to change if they can avoid it, and if they change, they're changing in the way that they feel is the truest path. So they're not really changing. Um. So
It's more fluid. I feel like
it's more fluid.
like a TI user is more block, and if you get your blocks close enough, you might not feel like you've changed a whole lot if you make super small steps.
Yeah.
But if you're an FI user, you just kind of feel like you're. I think it feels more fluid, more like a slice of life narrative kind of thing.
Yeah. Slice of life narrative kind of works. That's a pretty good way to put it. Um. But I don't know. I guess one of my first thoughts that comes was like if you're going between an FI and TI user, and a TI user would would theoretically be more flexible, just because if you find the logical argument strong enough, a TI user will then be like, okay, you can shimmy them towards different paradigms if needed. An FI user, like, they kind of have to do it on their own. They have to feel that it's right. And so FI users tend to be actually incredibly stubborn. If like you can argue with an FI user quite a lot and they won't change because they don't think it's right or they don't believe it's right. So it's the difference between consistency and authenticity, I guess. Um, TI users, they're more okay with changing their identity if the framework doesn't align, I guess. Like, it's the logical consistency that's the priority. So FI is like, I have to feel it. Is it right for me? Is this the true path? So, but like I always say, you need both. So like,
Yep.
you need, like, both are very important. They should be on equal footing. So
Next,
next,
red and green.
red and green. Oh, I know this trick. Um, so this kind of hints at negative colors, where the opposite of the color is. So if you stare at the red for long enough, and then look over, you should see a teal. And if what's funny is that if you do like I've seen a video and I've been trying to find it again where somebody actually separated light waves, and then like was able to like showcase the negative colors alongside with it, and this is the teal would be the negative of red, so
which is
Um,
what they were debating about when they were making the color circle. They were like, actually, because visually look, you'll get the negative of the greenish blue.
yeah,
That's the opposite of red, right?
yeah,
They had that discussion.
yeah. And I can see it. Uh, red is about control, and greenish blue, like teal, is about like the freedom of flight or the freedom of peace. I guess it's the most chill of all the colors. Um, but they don't. No one ever really draws them together. Maybe that's why they don't. I never see them together. Huh. Usually I put.
Interesting. Maybe more confirmation bias, but we were watching another episode of Justice League the other day, and Hawk Girl, one of the members of the Justice League, ISTP,
Mm-hmm.
their favorite colors tend to be green, teal, and black. Favorite color was teal, and she's got the wings, she flies,
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah.
maybe coincidence, maybe not. Who knows?
Who knows? Right. Right. Um, but yeah. Normally, I usually put red
How
in.
do you know how to like type people? Like, so like when you're making a decision like, oh, this person is this and that person is that, like what leads you to like make that decision?
There's the way I'm going to explain it is going to be very simplistic because what actually goes into it is like a whole network process. Like my understanding of the archetypes through like people I have relationship with, like family and them, and the way like they behave, and then like comparing that to the explanation and like uh, different models, and then checking that with the TE, like the collective's understanding of different actors, different characters, different public figures, and then then me watching the patterns of like either the characters or the people in my life. Right. It's like so what I do is I understand people in my life, and then I understand the caricatures or the archetypes, and then I try to and then I try to understand the archetypes so well that that if I see enough behaviors, enough personality, enough mood, enough biases, enough preferences for a certain kind of way of behaving, I was like, okay. And then so then I go in my head, and then I try to fit them into my understanding of that archetype. I'm like this one is an ESFP, and then I put them there and I watch them and I kind of feel there's some intuition involved, some vibing. So I would say it's as much as art as it is a science for me. And I'm like, okay, like how does this feel? Like I'm like, this is my interpretation of their behaviors. This is interpretation of what this model says. Are the motivations and the behaviors of this type. It's like, and then here's my understanding of what I'm seeing. I'm like, does this fit the ESFP? I'm like, ESFP, comfortable. I'm like, it's a little wobbly. I'm like, ESTJ. I'm like, there's some qualities here of this character that's a little ESTJ. Like, how did I feel? It's like, what is it? And then if it gets really difficult for me to get the overall sensation, if they're too far apart, the the hardcore stereotypes of those archetypes in any of my models, whether it's MBTI or socionics or Enneagram, and it's hard for me to crosswire them, then I will try to function slice it. I'll watch more carefully, specifically for certain combinations or certain preferences for certain. But the reason I do that last right now is I've reached the Dunning-Kruger effect in terms of like the drop off. My understanding of functions is like at first it was so easy, and now I understand like so many different models and so many perspectives that I've kind of gone down. That's like now I'm now in that area where I'm like this could be TI, or it could be a combination of T, or it could be the demon, or it could be whatever. I don't know that, right? So I am overly cautious now with the way I use my specific understanding of the functions when I'm typing somebody explicitly, right? But I do kind of trust my understanding of them well enough so that when I'm experiencing the character holistically, I can kind of get a match when I compare them to other people I know who I've watched long enough to know are that type, or I've seen enough movies or caricatures in other movies to kind of compare them to those types. And so,
the the characters and like the pretty much all of the TV shows I watch right now, like the main character is an ENTP or an INTJ.
interesting.
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
And so right now, I'm not yet to the point where like CS Joseph or Benjamin Socionics channel where I'm comfortable with my capacity to type strictly technically, and so it's a combination of technical vibe and then like pairing my experience of this person to my experience of other people who I'm confident I have more or less correctly archetyped.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I keep distracting the conversation.
No, it's
No, you're
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give a disclaimer. Like when it comes to typing people, you kind of have to have one foot in the door and one foot out. You never want to assume that you never want to fully assume that you're accurate, because that creates weird problems. Because every individual is going to be unique, and no model is going to be able to fit every archetype perfectly. So, really, the best thing you can do is just understand how you work, and then kind of based off of that, try to figure out how other people work. So,
Right. And like, so I think, oh, what is it called? What's the dude called? Basically, like he goes around halfway around the world. So one of the TV shows I was watching, he goes halfway around the world to Japan, right, chasing like another ship, trying to find like what the British. He's looking for Japan for some specific reason because they're like a big trading partner with the Dutch, and the Dutch are making like a ton of money. And the main character is an ENTP, and what happens is basically his entire crew dies, and he barely makes it to to what the Japan they call the Japans, and then his entire crew dies, or they like basically become like drunkards. There's like 5 or 6 of them left at the end of the first season, and like the whole time he's just trying not to die. Like he'll become important in some way, and then like everyone will try and kill him, and then he'll become important in some way, and then everyone will try and kill him. And so it's weird to me that me and him are like similar characters, but it does feel similar. But in like a very like background character way.
I guess the question is why does it feel weird? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the emotion there, right? You're picking up a similarity. You're vibing with this individual that you see. Uh, why? I guess for you, why do you think it feels weird? I have a theory, but I guess it's more important what you say. So,
Okay. Whatever. Sure, you can say your theory in a second. That's fine. I'll just do it. So I've always noticed is like ENTP to like ENTP, I think has like a really weird like tracking problem where like you're on the same track, and then like there's an immediate diversion where you're like, what the hell was that? Like, where did that come from? And then like you'll be back on the same track again, and then you'll be like, oh, we're off again. Like together apart, together apart, together apart. It's like there's no cohesive nature.
you can't sync up with them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ENTP is too ENTP for the ENTP.
A little bit. A little bit.
Oh.
What's your theory though?
I think your theory was better. My theory is that an ENTP would probably it would be weird. I guess I was thinking the sense of uniqueness. I guess, but I don't think that's as relevant. So, um,
Mm.
because an ENTP is the NETI is really easy to create a framework, right? where you kind of think that you have all the answers. So if you think that you have all the answers, then you kind of think that you are the best intrinsically. And so to meet another individual,
Non-volatile narcissist, but okay.
but yeah, so to meet another individual who has similar traits to you, but also thinks in that kind of framework and that kind of thing, it's like what I'm imagining is that it would be like kind of a dissonance where it's like, hey, you're more like me than I think I am. Stop it, right? But again, your experience better is a better tracker than what I say. So
Mm.
I think I accidentally FI coded it. So that's partially why.
Okay.
And here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if a little bit of the. I'm not entirely certain. I understand the nature of the. It's like almost kind of an uncanny valley effect going on between him and like.
Yeah.
Was that? Does that? Does me coding it that way sound close enough? Like it feels like an uncanny valley. Like you almost see another human. Something weird about him.
I'm not sure what that means. I'm really not. I don't know what uncanny valley means. Um,
It's
it's
like
where it happens more with like ENTPs that aren't as smart. So like the smarter the ENTP, like it's very because it's all like intellect. It's very very clear like how smart an ENTP is.
okay. So this corresponds with where I was going, and that is I think it is actually the FI trickster, right? That is, I think what happened is work is the more okay. NTPs. Here's what I think we. I think the way we access. I think the more skilled we become with manipulating our thoughts, because our thoughts and feelings are incorrigibly linked. It's like the more consistent we become with managing our emotions, right? And so, like the more stupid ENTPs, right? There's going to be an inconsistency in their capacity to manipulate their frameworks. There's going to be kind of an irregular, a kind of schizo going on, a kind of it's like they're going to jump ships frameworks before it's adaptive to do so, right? And that's going to correspond with their FI, like their trickster function, like their value system, right? They're all gonna kind of be out of sync, right? It's got an incongruent, kind of schizophrenic, and so I feel like the I feel like it'll be harder, and that's what that's going to do. It's going to make it harder for you to understand their framework, what it is they're working, what they're doing, like their logical thought processes. It's going to seem illogical to you, and so it'll be them kind of exposing more of their underbelly, like more. It'll be them running behaving more like an ENFP would naturally.
A little bit. A little bit.
It's just they're not supposed to operate that way. But their thought process isn't consistent enough to get there. The cleaner an ENTP's TI is, the cleaner their FI is going to be.
Because FI and TI are basic.
Yeah.
They're basically the same data point, just from a different lens. So. But that's very deep. I should have just said that. Dang it. Oh.
It is very deep, but we'll come back to that later. Let's jump back. Let's get our Ennies. Let's get our Ennies back on. Run.
Avery, if you watch my flow of thoughts and feelings videos, it'll make more sense because it's all connected and it's all connected.
I just need to trust. Well,
all right.
but the thing with ENTJs though is that the ENTJs I can follow them. It doesn't matter like smart or stupid. I can always follow ENTJ, INTJ line of like reasoning, like every single time. Like there's never like a breaking point.
They have a solid FI. they have FI Child, which is optimistic, fairly competent, and then they also have TI Critic, which is ostensibly as strong as an INTP TI, just in a different version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, interesting enough, in the MBTI community, it's kind of known that the INTJs and ENTPs, not necessarily that they're buddy buddies, but that they kind of see each other as rivals in a way. Like they kind of, it's like it's like the only type that ENTP kind of like feels challenged by, and the INTJ is the only type that the INTJ can like sort of respect, I guess.
You said the INTJ is the only type the INTJ can respect?
No, I said that wrong. The ENTP is like the only type that the INTJ, I guess, has to be wary of, I guess. Just cuz it's the difference between quick calculated bursts of planning and long deliberate plans of calculations that have been years in the running, right? So an INTJ is good as like Batman's an INTJ. He's really good at like creating plans upon plans upon backup plans upon backup plans. And the ENTP is going to be like, oh, let me see how many I can break of those. But whereas the ENTP is going to be like, I'm going to create as many quick short bursts of plans as I can to try to mess up the INTJ. And the INTJ is like, I've got a plan for that. 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 So they have this kind of weird where they respect each other in a weird way. So
Yin and yang energy.
yeah.
Right.
Speaking of which, I think I'm just gonna call it on that chapter.
All right, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I don't think I have anything. I have notes taken, but nothing particularly worth going through. I think we call it on this chapter, and I am interested in the title of the next chapter, which is Color and History, Relative and Absolute, because those terms kind of map on to contention you had previously. If they're using relative and absolute the way I think they are, then this might have some bearing on your observation that culture has a certain understanding of symbols.
Mm-hmm.
The specific individual and the specific artist is going to have a color. And when decoding that last image, you were like, I don't know. My understanding and my understanding of the global understanding corresponds to the personal. And you're like, my understanding is this, but then you went to the global, like globally, gold, blue, worship, religion, this is what it means. And then you came back down, right? And you're like, and I don't know if everything I just did relative. So in other words, appealed to objective or the external, the absolute, and then to the relative. Your relative and the relative. And so I'm hoping we're just hitting part 2 here, that some of what you were talking about there is going to be discussed in this next chapter. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Man, I think what frustrates me about this book is that, like, so far it feels like it's been really close to being substantial, I guess. And not to say that it hasn't been substantial, but it gets, again, we mentioned, it feels like it's covering topics we've already thought about and discussed, right? It's not really going deeper. But a part of me feels like obligated that we need to finish it, only to feel like, oh, well, now we're well read on the subject.
Yeah.
Instead of just going off vibes and intuitions.
I low-key kind of agree with you. Let's do it. Let us do it. Let's go through this book chapter at a time. We'll take this next one in. I don't know. I was going to say we do it in 2 bites, but I don't think we'll have to. I think we'll just get a little bit more selective with our note taking and pull out the things that actually resonate and find our note.
Yeah.
a bit. So I think we can go through this next chat. I think we can take this next one in one chunk. 30
Yeah.
something pages. I think we can do it.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, like it's only 23 pages, and some of them have large images that take up basically the whole page. So I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
So
Let's
yeah,
do it.
yeah, we'll do it. We'll make it work.
All right.
All right, we finally did it.
We did it. Good idea. And exciting for us to push through. That was bad. We just.
It's funny because the only way I've found to like get long-term projects done is to basically like limit my ability to do other things. Like, because I literally just like can't do other things. I'm stuck to doing the long-term project.
Yeah. I've had to do that before. I had to get an app at one point. It was called Freedom that manually shut off other apps in my certain aspects of other apps and browsers for certain parts of the day, so that I only had to do what I told. Now I just do whatever I want. Whatever happens. I do have my own like habit goals and whatever, but I just kind of like watch the way I feel about it and my emotions and whatever. It's like just kind of trust the process. Yeah, it's been far.
Yeah, that's good.
Not perfectly. Sometimes I still stay up a little later. Sometimes I wake up a little later. Sometimes I spend too much time playing Genshin. But it's like overall, I'd say I'm happy.
Oh my god, you play Genshin?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm a Zhongli main. Lee.
Yeah.
Zhongli and Nuvalet.
No, it's not. It's not the main that's the problem. It's the game.
Now you sound like my brother.
Why
when he tries to recommend me music. My ENTP brother. He would try to argue me into liking his music. He will be like, I just need to give you more facts, bro. Then he'll give me context around the story of the music. And then he'll talk about the notes. And I'll be like, this is an aesthetic judgment. Put your calculator away. You cannot save me.
It's an aesthetic judgment. You understand? It's not an aesthetic judgment. There are no such things as aesthetic judgments.
Okay. I was seeing some.
Oh my. Oh my.
Your problem, Avery, is you've never mained Zhongli. That's why you hate it.
All right. At least that's a reasoning. The wrong reasoning.
I told you that's what they need. I swear. Every time I get into a discussion with an ENTP about music or aesthetics or something, they always need to. It can't be the FI. I just like it. It has to be. You have to give them a reason, even if it's stupid. And then at least they're like, "Oh, okay." But I love them. My father's ENTP. My favorite brother is ENTP.
Favorite brother.
Favorite brother. I have 6 of them, so I've got a lot to choose from.
6 favorite brothers. How's your family doing, by the way? They doing well?
Very well. So, very well, I say as I stressfully rub my face.
You get the wrinkle lines and the stress on, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. We've just got to a point in the family business where it's time to kind of go home. So we more or less maximized our potential for the current setup. So now now I'm working on finishing the modeling of the house so I can potentially refinance it, get a loan, so that Dad wants to start a storefront in the actual town nearby. which means I have to finish up enough of the things here so that I have the versatility to help this family business with the kids here, and then with the remodeling we're doing, new business, and then for the house that me and Zian. And so it's like a lot going on. So it's like family's doing well, but if we want it to be better, we need more money. And if we want to make more money, we need to put a few more irons on the fire.
Dude,
I'm lazy. I'm INTP. I don't like irons on the fire. It's like, but you got to do what you got to do.
it's fair because I'm not lazy. Like I'm lazy when when I'm just like hanging out. Like I'm like exceptionally lazy when I'm not working, but when I'm working, I'm like really like on it.
I am slow and steady. I am still lethargic, kind of lazy, even when I'm working. Like I'll be like both of my ETP brothers. Like when they are working, they are little energizer buddies. But me, the thing my dad told me recently, the thing I appreciate you about the most, is that it might take you forever to do something. It's like, but you always get it done. Unlike him, like he'll start things, but oftentimes he'll never finish. He'll like go full throttle. And then me, like I'll start, mess, I'll mingle or whatever, and then I'll wander off, I'll get distracted, I'll mess with something else, but I'll come back and I'll go and I'll come back and then I'll sit down for a minute and just kind of take a break. And I'll get up, but it will be done, and it will be done well, but it will take me a minute.
Mm-hmm. I'm a really good worker for someone else.
That's a good thing. That's a good distinction there.
Like if you can get me to do the task, I'll do a great job. But you have to get me to do the task.
Gentlemen, Zian is texting me. She's got a day off, so she's at home. And so before I go to sleep, I guess I'm going to spend more time with her.
That's fair.
Okay. Have fun.
So, Observer, as always, it's been fantastic. Love talking to you. Avery, happy to have had you join us for second time in a row. We've missed you. And going to take some notes this Sunday on this next chapter. I'm looking forward to doing it again. Mm-hmm. Keep me updated, Observer. You said next Thursday looking good so far?
We should be fine next Thursday. So,
alrighty then. See you guys then. And tomorrow while I'm working, I think I'm gonna go back through your whole list of flow, thoughts, and feelings all in one go.
Do it. It's designed to interconnect very well, and I finally have a point to base an FI value off with a scientific point. So it actually. These last two videos have been probably my most important videos I've ever done. So,
yeah. I'm going to go through the whole thing and then we'll catch up on it.
Yeah.
Next meeting.
Yeah, that'll be a fun discussion. So,
Godspeed, you guys. Good night.
Godspeed.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to go to bed?
Probably. I need to. I'm really tired.
No worries.
Yeah, I had to take my car into the mechanic, and the mechanic happened to be really close, but I still had to walk home, and it was like uphill both ways basically. So, I'm burnt. All right, Avery. I think I'll peace out too. Good talking.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too.